So before I introduce our guest, I wanted to talk about just a little bit of our backstory. So we started, our brand started in, we really became a business in 2012, but we didn't really hit the ground running with shoes until later. It was 2015 that we really had our first prototype and started to make a movement on the BILLY Footwear concept. But it wasn't really until 2017 that we made it into the stores. Now, our first retail partner that we launched with was Zappos. So today being our first open book broadcast, it just felt so right to be able to have our first guest be a representative from Zappos. So without further ado, let me introduce you to, let me bring her in. This is Miss Dana Zumbo, Business Development Manager for Zappos Adaptive. Welcome, Dana.
Hi, Billy. How you doing?
I'm doing so good, Dana. This is such an exciting time for me. I mean, one, to be able to launch this program, but to have our first guest be my absolutely dear friend, Dana. I mean, this has been such a journey so far together. And I think about when our paths first crossed. I mean, here we are, 2020. We sat down for a very casual conversation, our team and your team, in kind of springtime of 2017. And that was right about the same time that Zappos Adaptive was launching. So I was hoping that you could share, it's kind of the Zappos Adaptive story, how it came about.
First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. Being your first, I think that's really special because we started with you. You are one of our first brands. But to give you a little bit of backstory about how Zappos Adaptive started, actually this month is going to be 6 years just from the idea of where it came from. And so just a little background, one of our employees was going through new hire training. And during that time frame, what you do through new hire training is you get on the phones and you chat with customers because customer service is super important to Zappos. It really runs throughout the foundation and core of our company. And so while this employee, Saul, was on the phone chatting with a customer, she had shared that she was returning a pair of shoes she bought for her grandson. They didn't work for him, and she was pretty frustrated. So he started chatting with her, and what he found was, and she shared with him, that her grandson, Gabriel, has autism, and he doesn't have the dexterity to tie shoelaces. And back then, 6 years ago, there wasn't as many options as there are today. And so she was very frustrated. And so Saul was like, no problem. Let me look online, and on our site, you know, we have a breadth of assortment. And he went on to look for the specific types of shoes that she needed for her grandson. And sadly, he could not find something for him. And so Saul walked away from that call disappointed, not being able to serve the customer, but also with an idea and a question like, how do we serve all customers? So that was the core foundation of how Zappos Adaptive, the idea behind it, started. It was from that one customer call. So and so it took a few years for us to get a group of people together from internally. We did a lot of research to better understand, like, is there a need to have a platform showcasing and curating products that might serve all people? And so after those few years, that's when we came to meet Billy and his team, and that was early 2017. But we launched our website, Zappos Adaptive, in April of 2017.
I mean, that's so cool. I mean, the part that there's so many layers, you know, in that whole story, and there's so much emotion, and there's so much power, and just so much good that has come of it. And the part that I think warms my heart so much is, one, having a customer have the courage to reach out and ask the question, but secondly, listening. Zappos chose to listen. And I mean, obviously the solution didn't exist right at that time, but it fostered a much larger discussion to be able to build a whole program, to be able to, like, well, look, we have a gap here. Let's see what we can do about it. And just the fact that we were entering the market at the same time Zappos Adaptive was coming online, I mean, it just felt like a match made in heaven, like in that early spring of 2017. And then lo and behold, our shoes are on your shelves in August of 2017. And that really was the I don't know, the kickstart that started to get our brand out there. And it's just been, really amazing ever since.
Yeah, I do want to kind of call out, when you think of Zappos, when we were talking about what this could look like based on the customer's request and experience and what we wanted to do to serve her, we knew that we had, the customer service team of, anywhere between 300 and 400 people behind us. Zappos has a call center that answers phones, live chat, and email. So we had that piece. We also had the platform to sell product, but the ingredient I think that brings us all together, we have these brand relationships that far exceed any other type of. I've been in retail all my life, and when I came to Zappos almost 11 years ago, what I recognized was the partnerships that we have with our brands, like BILLY Footwear and such, are so very different, and it really is a true partnership. And I think that's what made it easier for us to have these discussions, be aligned in what our core values are from Zappos to what your core values are, and it just worked. And after we had that meeting with you, I was so excited because we were talking the same language. I didn't have to convince you that we were doing this thing, and you didn't have to convince us. It was really, perfect timing to be able to launch something, your product that we knew just from the experience and the feedback that we've gotten over those few years from people with disabilities, parents with kids with disabilities, disability organizations that shared with us. Everybody that we talked to, we knew that this product that you created was going to help so many people. And I think one of the things that we loved about it the most was your tagline, universal design with fashion in mind. And the reason why I love both pieces is we heard from the community, from people saying, we just want to wear like really cool, fashionable, trendy shoes and clothing. And it didn't exist. It didn't exist at the time. But also the universal design piece, I think, is super important because, the features of your product help people that have challenges getting dressed or their shoes on. So it makes it very easy to get on and off. But it also is really a cool shoe for everybody. And so that universal design is really important because the shoe is for everybody. And I love that most about what you shared with us back in 2017.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for that. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, that was kind of our mission, to go out there and basically take fashion and function and smash the two together. I mean, create something that had the mainstream look, yet had the functionality that someone like myself could wear. I mean, those that are looking in right now, I mean, you may not know because you're not going to see it through the camera, but I'm in a wheelchair. I mean, I don't really have very good hand dexterity. And it was a situation where having a spinal cord injury and being in a chair, I just wasn't able to put my shoes on independently. And that always bugged me. And there just wasn't anything on the market that I could find that satisfied both that function and the fashion element. That was really the key. I mean, you could find something that had the function aspect, but it just looked different. And the example I give often is just like, you know what, if there's a kid in the playground and he's wearing something different, kids are going to remind them he's wearing something different. So the last thing we want to do is create something that like kind of puts an exclamation point on the end of whatever sentence that's being said. It was a matter of like creating something inclusive that not only, someone like myself would wear because of the function aspect, but someone with the fashion element, so people would just love it. So it was awesome. I mean, I remember that day that we got together and you and we had never met before. And within 10 minutes time, it was as if we were speaking the same language, and it was like we had known each other all of our lives and we had just finally met. So to be able to have such a special moment as the starting point and then to go and do bigger things after that, I mean, we can talk for hours, and we definitely have. So I'm going to kind of cue it up and kind of give you a moment here. I know there's a lot of really big and exciting things that are going on, big developments that have happened just recently with Zappos through Zappos Adaptive. And I would love for you to be able to share that.
Thank you so much. And one thing I do want to do is just first of all ask you, as a brand, as a vendor of ours, over the years, have you ever had anybody or any customers call in, or people just share that they need to buy a single shoe for whatever reasons, or possibly two different size shoes?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so we offer through our website, we do offer those that have that need to have two different size shoes, like a left and a right, or if they only need a single shoe, we do offer that capability. And it's interesting. It just seemed like the right thing to do. But when we launched our e-commerce, we didn't have it in mind. We just didn't. I don't know. We didn't see the need, simply because we weren't familiar with the need yet. And a customer reached out and they said, "Hey, can you sell me two different pairs of shoes or two different sizes, and sell it, package it as a single pair?" And we just said, "Sure, why not?" Like, how do we do that? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. And we launched that program, and it's been wonderful ever since. So the need is definitely there, and it adds a tremendous amount of value for so many.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because we've heard the same thing from other brands, as well as our customer service team that have been fielding calls for 15 years now. We've heard that people request it all the time. And so when we launched our website, Zappos Adaptive, back in 2017, those requests started coming in to us on a daily basis. I need one shoe. I'm an amputee and I don't wear a prosthetic. And people just shared the reasons why. They didn't just say, I need a single shoe or I need two different size shoes. They really shared the story behind why they needed it, which, of course, as we were fielding all of this incoming feedback, it touched our hearts, because what we were doing as part of Zappos Adaptive was serving people with disabilities in providing clothing that made it easy, clothing and shoes that made it easier to get dressed independently, as well as parents that are helping a child getting dressed, or a caregiver. And so as we fielded all of these requests, we knew, as you just said, we knew that this was something that was a need out there that has never really been addressed, or never really thought of on a large scale. And so back in March of last year, we decided to gauge the pulse of the community, and we created a survey. And Lori, who was our social media channel manager, she posted on our Facebook channel, which had a few thousand likes, few thousand followers at the time, a survey that said, we heard you, we're listening. We'd love, if you're interested in helping us create a program around selling single shoes, please take this survey. And, we expected a couple hundred people to respond, and we would get enough information to really better understand what the needs were. Well, within a 3-week period, we had over 2,600 responses to a survey. We obviously did not expect that many people, but the more, the better for us, because we were able to capture all of the information that people had shared. And again, we asked a lot of questions. So the survey wasn't a 3-minute survey. It was pretty long, but we wanted to make sure that we had all of the information possible to be able to build a test program around selling single or different size shoes. And so from last March, we built the program, kind of outlined everything that we would need based on the feedback. Some of the feedback was what are the top brands you would want to see. We had representation from all 50 states, as well as some international responses. And currently we don't even sell internationally, so I thought that was really interesting. So what we did was we built a program. We shared it with the internal Zappos executive teams, and got the support to go ahead and create this test program. And we were supposed to launch at the end of March this year. Unfortunately, there were a lot of things happening then.
There were.
We just felt like it wasn't the right time to do it, because there were a lot of unknowns at the time. But we knew it was really important to all the people that have expressed interest and engaged with us over the last year, that we pushed the launch out to see, the state of the economy at the time.
Right.
And we pushed it out to July. And I am so excited to be able to say today that yesterday was our big launch day. So we launched selling single and or 2 different size shoes yesterday. The response has been incredible. The feedback has been very positive. I would say the most common thing that people are asking for is more, and that's awesome. They're just asking for more styles.
Yeah.
We want sandals, we want boots, we want different things. So we're taking in all of that feedback, and in order for us to evolve the program over time, again, it's a test. We wanted to gauge the interest, and so far, day one, yesterday was day one. It was quite an exciting day for all of us.
So there's a couple of things there. One is, no one likes to take surveys, and especially long surveys. So the fact that you got so much feedback, so much positive feedback on a long survey, it really, really highlights, and just, I mean, it really is a beautiful image of just the need and the hunger for some type of solution. So the second thing is, so if someone would like to order a single shoe or different size shoes through Zappos Adaptive, how is the best way to find them?
They can go to zapposadaptive.com, and right on our homepage is a link that takes you to specific landing pages around singles, because it is a different shopping experience. Because again, we have a limited assortment, but the assortment is from toddler sizes, little kid, big kids, and then a full assortment of men's and women's. All size ranges, as well as widths where we could provide extra wides. And I'm happy to say that, Billy, you and your team were one of the first that were like, yes, we're on board. We want to do this with you. And so we appreciate the support that you've given us to launch this program. Again, we have we have a landing page that you can go to that really explains why we created the program. There's some videos on, a lot of people have asked us, we've never really had to measure our feet before, because I only have 1 foot and or 2 different sizes. Usually the larger size gets measured, and I buy shoes that size and do whatever I need to do on the other foot. And so we did use one of our medical professionals, who's an orthotist and a prosthetist, and we did a video on how to measure your feet, whether in a brace or a prosthetic. And so we're just trying to help educate the community as well. And again, the shopping experience is a little different, because you get to choose a left in one size and a right in one size, in a different size if you choose, or just one shoe.
That's awesome. So there's another place that you can access that information, and it's actually on our frequently asked questions page on our website, billyfootwear.com. We did include a direct link to the singles program at Zappos. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, our pleasure. That program is incredibly important to us. I mean, it's just important. It really is. I mean, it adds so much value, and we love that kind of stuff. So, boy, that's cool. Dana, I mean, we can go on and on and on and on, and I can just think about so many different occasions that you and I have been in the same space at some sort of, like, may it be a rehab conference, or may it be some sort of expo or something like that. And there's so many folks that come by, and they're just so excited about what Zappos Adaptive is doing, and like what we're doing, and just being able to fill this gap. And it's incredible how I think about, like, for example, the AOTA, the Occupational Therapists Association, where we, as in you and I and our teams, we went to these, and we just kind of told them a little bit about what was going on. And there were many folks that, one, had not heard of Zappos, which was crazy, because Zappos has been around a heck of a lot longer than us, but they certainly not heard of our shoes. And then you fast forward 1 year later, and the knowledge of both brands increased big time. And then you go the following year, and then it's like, this is the brand, this is the stuff that we were talking about. So it's just been remarkable how powerful that word of mouth has been. And I I also want to kind of give you another opportunity to kind of, because there's been so many folks that have come by the booth, and we've had just more like a hands-on experience to kind of introduce them to everything, like all the opportunities that are now available. And I was curious to know if there's any particular story in mind that just kind of comes up right now that just seem like either like typical in terms of special, or just like one that was like really special, like this would be fun for people out there that watch right now to hear about.
Yeah. So kind of to reiterate what you had mentioned about the American Occupational Therapy Conference, the whole reason that we even participated as an exhibitor there to showcase the product that we had launched on Zappos Adaptive was we got feedback from our local community of occupational therapists. Early in our journey, we had a networking, kind of like a networking happy hour on campus. We invited all of the occupational therapists from our local community here in Las Vegas to share some of the products and just get feedback. And we had this board that we posted up Post-its, and the thing that came up most often was you have to go to the AOTA. And I'm like, what's the AOTA? And when they shared it, that it was this conference that occupational therapists around the country go to, they said, you have to go there and show your products because occupational therapists need to know this exists. And, we went the first year not knowing what to expect. And it was really eye-opening because the occupational therapy community, they do all the modifications when they're working with their clients. They modify the buttons to magnets. They do a lot of the work themselves. When they saw some of the product we had, their jaws just dropped. They were like, oh my gosh, I did not know this existed. So to your point, it was really important for us to continue going. Last year we went. We had you as a guest as part of our exhibitor booth. We had a representative from Tommy Hilfiger as well, some of their designers, because as some people may not know, Tommy Hilfiger was really one of the first fashion brands that launched an adaptive line of clothing. And so, and Zappos Adaptive had the opportunity to launch with them early on as well. And so just with the collaboration of some of our brands and sharing that with the medical community was something early on in our journey we never even thought of. And I love the fact that we keep learning and keep meeting different people and networks of who are really invested serving the community. So it was really special that we got to do it together.
Yeah. And I remember, along the same lines, when people come by the booth and being able to share, when you just take our shoe and you unzip it and you flip that lid over to expose the footbed, their minds are just, what? Especially when someone's wearing like a brace or something like that, or someone like myself that has a challenge to just shove their foot into a shoe, and just being able to, just that unmatched convenience and the unmatched function. That's all. Talk about a conversation starter. When you unzip that shoe and you open it up, all of a sudden you start generating a crowd in a hurry.
Well, and just to add on, we also participated in the Abilities Expo. They have them around the country, and the one in LA we went to, and you guys were we were grateful that you gave us an entire size run of the BILLY Footwear for us to be able to have people try on, because the first year we went to the expo, people wanted to try on the shoes, and we didn't know what to expect. It was quite new. And so the second year we went, we asked you provided an entire size run. We invited one of our local prosthetists and orthotists to go with us. So Ryan came to LA with us and spent all day Saturday fitting people that came to the booth. And I have to say that was, you had asked like a story or whatnot. As I'm sharing the story, I feel it, because there were so many people that came to the booth, and every single time we were able to fit BILLY Footwear on their foot, whether they had braces, it didn't matter what size. If they were within the kid size range, we were able to show them the features, the function of the BILLY Footwear, and then they all said, like, this is the coolest shoe that I've ever been able to get on. We are still in contact with people that we built relationships with from those expos, and when we launched the singles program, I got an email this morning from one of the fathers who was so grateful that we kept pushing on to be able to launch this, because he has a daughter that wears a size 7 on one foot and a 10 on her foot that she wears a brace on. And so just being able to provide options for them, it just makes it all worthwhile. Just, right. The saying is always like, help one, help many. And I go back to that initial story with our customer, Tanya, who shared her story. Just by sharing that one story, like, she's helped so many other people. And we still keep in touch with Tanya as well.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Now, I do know that, some news on our side. One of the questions that get asked quite frequently is, when are you going to have wider kid shoes? So it's really exciting for us to be able to say, yes, they're coming. And this coming November, we'll have wider toddler shoes and wider kid shoes, because, some of those braces, they are pretty big. The shoes having the functional laces that are able to open up, but some of those braces do get significantly larger if you already have a wider foot. So it's exciting for us to be able to say that we've listened to that need and we've moved forward to try to meet that need. And it's going to be exciting to be able to launch that and share that with everybody. And then plus, hopefully, it gets on the singles program as well.
Absolutely. Yes, I would say that is probably one of the most requested things that we get as well, is we just need more shoes that are wider. Mm-hmm. And by providing them in the toddler sizes is something that there is a gap out there. There's a few brands that provide extra wides in all kid sizes, but I think with the styling of your shoe, there's probably nothing out there. So it's going to be really exciting for us to be able to launch again something new.
Yeah. Well, Dana, we've come up on 30 minutes. I kind of want to give you the mic one last time, and then I'll just kind of sign us off. But we covered a lot of ground, a lot of exciting stuff. Our history together over the last 3 years, it truly is remarkable, all that our two teams have been able to accomplish together. And it makes my head spin thinking what the next year's gonna look like, let alone 3 years. So final thoughts.
Well, I appreciate the partnership and the relationship that we've built over the last three years now. And I think it's a testament to working with a brand who, and you said it, who is listening and and making changes based on what the needs are out there. And, I hope down the road that we'll have more, the goal is really to just have more options for people. And I know it sounds simple, but when it doesn't exist, it's something that we want to make sure that we're continuing to push and evolve Zappos Adaptive offering as we, continue to grow. So thank you so much for your early partnership. And I am very excited to see where this will go with us, because it's been quite a ride so far, and looking forward to the future.
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. And everybody, thank you. This is our first open book with Billy, the first of many. So thank you for tuning in. The next one will be next Wednesday at the same time. And next Wednesday is actually more of a technical conversation. It'll be myself and my fellow co-founder, Mr. Darren Donaldson. We'll be going through some of the technical aspects of the shoes to try to talk about some of the design elements that we intentionally put into it. And, it'll be we'll kind of have a great conversation. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Dana, thank you so much again. And that's about it. All right, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.